Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. We had a day off yesterday. Hope you had a good day too. Political reflections. Theresa May survives the crisis of her leadership, wins 200 out of 317 votes in confidence ballot. That is to say, a majority of 83. And Marvis Ahmed asks, is this the road to Brexit? Is it any clearer? Hell no. That remains the fundamental conundrum. Juncker had said before she met with him, I will meet Theresa May this evening in Brussels. I remain convinced that the Brexit deal we have is the best and only deal possible. There is no room for renegotiation, but further clarifications are possible. So I think the situation remains fluid. Conservative MPs preferred the idea of a slap on the wrist for Theresa May as opposed to toppling her and creating a general election scenario where their seats themselves might well be appended. This is extraordinary. The full video of a heated Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Democratic leaders Schumer and Pelosi over border security and a potential government shutdown. You've got to watch it in full. There's so much going on in there. The J. Rubin blogger says it was Pelosi who did what the media has not done, interject, fact-check to his face and refuse to allow him to operate in a parallel reality. Perhaps Pelosi will start a trend. She declared there are no votes in the House, a majority of votes for a wall, no matter where you start. President Trump insisted that he'd have the votes if he wanted them. Well, then go do it. Go do it, she said confidently. Wham! As my Post colleague Colby Itkowitz wrote, Pelosi emerged from the meeting not some wilted flower, but a symbol of a woman who doesn't have time for male posturing. Pelosi kept her composure throughout the charade, continually trying to bring the conversation back to a place where actual dialogue could occur. Then did Trump just botch his border wall negotiation on live TV, he asks The Daily Show. A.W. Zurka says, today we're all Mike Pence. Look at the photograph, it's extraordinary. Seb Gorko, operating on the fringes of the Trump administration, tweeted to Sean Hannity, the president can pardon General Flynn, and I think he would make a great chief of staff. Cohen says of Trump, it was my duty to cover up his dirty deeds. And his lawyer says Mr. Cohen had the misfortune to have been counsel to the president. So that whole situation remains fluid as well, and I can't help feeling Mueller has progressed and moved the needle quite substantially. And you sense it in the president's panic. But ultimately, it's a political process, and how it plays out is a political issue. Canada frees the CFO of China's Huawei on bail in a court hearing in Vancouver. Justice William Erka granted Canadian $10 million bail to Meng, who has been jailed since her arrest on December the 1st. The courtroom erupted in applause when the decision was announced. Meng cried and hugged her lawyers. Among conditions of her bail, the 46-year-old executive must wear an ankle monitor and stay at home from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. 5 friends pledged equity in their homes and other money as a guarantee she will not flee. Chinese social media is saying that the bailed Huawei executive, her GPS ankle bracelet is actually made by Huawei. I wrote about this whole scenario over the weekend when I spoke about the truce dinner Huawei and DIS, the dinner was sirloin steaks, Zapata and Nicolas Malbec, a crispy chocolate and cream pancakes ran over by 60 minutes, and the dinner guests broke out into spontaneous applause thereafter. At that very moment, the G2 presidents were stuffing their gills. It has transpired some 7,000 miles away. Canadian authorities were making the arrest of Wan Zhumeng. Of course, at that point over the weekend, Xinhua said Canada will face grave consequences if it does not immediately release Meng Wanzhou. And I was saying the Vancouver real estate market, which has boomed for decades on the back of Chinese demand, looks horribly exposed. Canada is saying that the missing Canadian is a businessman, Michael Spavor. Canada's foreign ministry said it has not been able to contact Canadian businessman Michael Spavor since he notified the government that he was being questioned by Chinese authorities. Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland earlier told reporters that a second Canadian citizen could be in trouble in China. Shashank Joshi tweeted, China is now essentially on a kidnapping spree to squeeze Canada. Over the weekend I wrote, the temptation to mug the handsome Justin Trudeau is something the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia could not resist, and it seems Z is experiencing the same impulse. Michael Kovrig, a senior advisor for Crisis Group and a former Canadian diplomat, is being investigated for suspected involvement in activities harming China's state security. Let's jump to Europe, and I take you back to January 2015 when I was writing about a Europe that was off balance. France has declared the shooting yesterday in one of the country's most iconic Christmas markets an act of terrorism. The gunman is on the run and the subject of a massive manhunt. Gunman is named Sharif Shakat, appeared not just on France's S list of people believed to pose a security threat, but also on its FSPRT list. Hours after the attack yesterday, before officials labelled it an act of terror, experts like J.C. Broussard already knew a key detail. The gunman, named Sharif Shakat, appeared not just on France's S list, but also on its FSPRT list. There are 20,000 names in this database of radicalized individuals in France alone. Some 10% of them live in the provincial department where Strasbourg Christmas Market is located, or some 2,000 people. And this now goes back to what I was writing in January of 2015. The arrival of the asymmetric threat on the streets of Paris was deeply unsettling and will surely keep Europe off balance and presages a new normal. And then I was talking about the language of the media, the Kouachi brothers, Ahmed Koulibaly and his crossbow-toting partner Hayat Boumediene, and how they were proficient at taking over the world's attention, as this individual who's still on the run is doing. Syria is standing tall. It did not crumble like Libya or Iraq did. It never surrendered. It never even considered surrender as an option. It went through total agony, through fire and unimaginable pain, but in the end it won. It almost won. Victory will most likely be final in 2019. Syria's winning because the only alternative would be slavery and subservience, and that is not in the lexicon of the people here. The Syrian people won because they had to win, or face the inevitable demise of their country and collapse of their dream of a pan-Arab homeland. The long decades of humiliation of the Arabs are over. Now everyone in the neighborhood is watching. Now everybody knows the West and its allies can be fought and stopped. They are not invincible. Tremendously brutal and ruthless they are, yes, but not invincible. This is the first known defeat of the regime changes.